I'm Ianem Coburnem. I'm the author of God is a Woman, Dating Disasters. I'm very excited to have the book become available to Polish readers through the tireless efforts of Leszek. I think you'll find it highly entertaining, whether you're male or female, as well as very insightful. Thanks for picking it up. When I was a comedian touring across Canada and the US, what we call working the road, a lot of crazy things happened to me with women. And I never got to share the stories on stage. It just wasn't the right place. It wasn't the right avenue. So I decided to put them into a book. And not only share the stories, but also what I learned from each story. You know, everyone can relate to having crazy stories with the opposite sex, experiences, dating disasters, whatever you want to call it. But most people don't actually share these experiences or do it in such a way that they can help others avoid the same pitfalls. This is the kind of book I wish I had had back when I was in college or as a young man. A lot of people blame God for their failures in relationships. And a lot of times you'll hear them say things like, oh, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If it's meant to be, it will happen. When it's meant to be, you'll find the right person. And again, that all alludes to God being involved. And I just find that notion ridiculous, so I thought I would play off of it. I think really the strongest aspect of the book is that it's sincere. Sincerity sells. I'm always saying that, whether you're a comedian on stage being very honest, or whether you're selling a product, or whether you're selling yourself to the opposite sex. I mean, sincerity sells. And I think that's what really works and makes the book strong. I also like the format and think that makes it very strong. And that is that I share the story and talk about what I learned. And then I will provide examples of using what I learned in a future story to then be successful. You know, all the other books I've seen out there for guys really don't have that much good information for guys. Instead, what it is, it's a book by a guy who used to struggle with women and now he's being successful and he just wants to brag to everybody. A lot of times they don't treat the women well, they're disrespectful, they don't even really like women. They like sex, but they don't like women, and those are two very different things. I actually address that in God is a Woman, Dating Disasters. No, I mean, I'm not trying to take revenge on anyone. If I was, I'd use their real names or something. I have no desire in that. And one thing you'll learn is that a lot of the things we blame women for as guys are really our fault. When I was a nice guy, because this book really kind of watches me go from voted sweetest guy in high school to a jerk to then later becoming who I am today. And I went through all of the phases and stages of being a guy on the way there. And one of the guys I was early on was a nice guy. And again, that goes back to talking about some of these other authors. They were nice guys. And so they treated women well. They never made a move. They never did anything because they were scared. And then they would become angry at the woman. How come she never made a pass at me? How come she started to date that other guy? And they get mad. And then you'll read stories about them taking out their revenge basically on this woman through other women that they meet now, and then that they basically, you know, get into bed and that's it, and then kick them to the curb. I don't have that because I realized that, hey, you know what? I never asked the woman out when I was a nice guy. I never made a move. It's my responsibilities, not theirs. And it seems like a lot of these other authors and a lot of guys in general never have learned that. They just haven't come to that realization and admitted to themselves the role they played in their lack of success. And you have to do that. And you know, God is a Woman, Dating Disasters does that. I haven't heard from anyone who is in the book for the most part. No one's been angry or upset about it. Again, I change all the women's names in the book. Some of their names I don't even remember. It's been a while. But I have had plenty of stories about the book. People telling me how they used the book. One thing about God is a Woman, Dating Disasters that's different from other books, and I think really shows why it's so successful and effective, is that most women love it. They like it a lot. I've had tons of women tell me they like the book. The channel Lifetime, which is big in the U.S., I don't know if Poland even gets it, but In the US, it's a women's channel. For a year, they hired me to answer women's relationship questions on their website because of this book. So it's, I don't know, it's just everybody seems to really like it a lot who reads it for the most part. And I do hear stories. I had film students have filmed parts of it for their graduate classes, for their thesis. I mean, I've had a lot of things happen with it, and it's really cool. But I haven't had anyone contact me who was in the book and who was upset. I've had a couple people say, "Oh my goodness, I recognize my story," and that kind of thing. And thanks for not using my name. I've had that happen, but I haven't had anything else happen that I would say is negative. And like I said, a lot of guys they'll put the book out on their coffee table, and when they bring a woman home, it will start a dialogue going, and it will turn that dialogue sexual, which is a direction where you want to take things, and that will lead to things happening. Because if you turn a conversation sexual, that's when you can get things to start happening with a woman. And the book itself helps to do that a lot. I mean, you know, the great thing about a book or a movie or anything like that is if you don't like it, don't read it. Don't go see the movie. I think a real cool thing about a book is a lot of people may read it that don't want to admit that they want to read it or are going to read it, and then they can do it behind closed doors. So they have those options. I mean, no one's making anyone read the book. You know, for whatever reason, God is a Woman was very successful, and I believe still is, in Europe. It started to sell very well on Amazon in the United Kingdom. And next thing you knew, it spread. And I was getting emails from people, from guys in Sweden and Switzerland, and asking me, you know, for help in a certain dating situation and asking for my advice and my opinion. I had people as far away as Australia and Africa, but for whatever reason in Europe, it did quite well. And I owe the fact that it even could be sold in Europe, that people heard about it, to Amazon, because it wasn't out there, you know, on bookshelves originally. And what happened is people, it spread from Scandinavia. People in Scandinavia were talking about it, and that spread over to the Ukraine and Russia. And a Russian publisher contacted me and wanted to do it. I don't think, I think that you have to write for your audience everywhere. As a comedian, I was very fortunate. I traveled around Canada and the US. I learned a lot about people and different people. I learned how to write for a very broad audience. So that's why the comedy, the humor, and the topic and the writing style all work in Russia still and in other countries. But as far as, you know, how it would be perceived differently because of the culture, I mean, the reality is that men everywhere want to have sex. Okay, so it's going to be well received no matter where, and wherever you go, people have their own crazy dating experiences, and it's fun to read about people's crazy experiences, and a lot of them we'd like to share with people, and we're just too shy to. And so again, it's fun to see that happen, and I think that's another reason why women like the book a lot. I mean, what woman doesn't want to read about a guy making a fool of himself and screwing something up? And also seeing how guys think and getting into their heads. So, you know, women and men in Russia, they want to know all that stuff too. That stuff entertains them, and that's information they want to have as well. So I don't see it being an issue, and I don't see that being an issue in Poland either, for the same reasons. You know, I would just tell the Polish readers that life is short. I mean, it really is. I've been very lucky to do the things I want to do. It's been a lot of work. It continues to be a lot of work. But I have great adventures along the way. And when I get there, I'm very happy that I put in the effort and that I've arrived. So, you know, enjoy life. And don't pass up on these opportunities. When I traveled as a comedian, I used to meet so many different people, and I met a lot of old people, people 70, 80 years old, and man, they had a lot of regrets when it came to sex. I wish I had been with this woman. I wish I had made a pass at this woman. I wish I had, you know, gone to that guy's place with him and done this. And they say, you know, in the end, all that stuff is just stuff you missed without any real good reason. And a key reason why I wrote this book was so that you could walk away from it and go, look, I'm not going to have to go through like 5 years of bad experiences to finally learn how to have these opportunities happen, so that I look back and go, oh no, I wish I had done this, I wish I had done that. I want to minimize that for you. And so, take the book to heart and try this stuff out, and most importantly, live your life. I mean, it's the only one you got. So enjoy it, and I hope that this book helps you do so. Thanks again for checking it out.